So in my opinion, two of the best video game adaptations to ever hit the big screen is number one, Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Yes, I have this right here. This came out in 2014 on YouTube in a 10-episode series, but I have the Blu-ray movie version right here. I believe it's still on YouTube if you want to do a search. This is the coming-of-age story of Ken and Ryu, showing them as boys growing into men, and my goodness gracious, it is off the chain. Check it out if you haven't had a chance. And also the first Sonic movie, the prequel to this movie right here that came out in 2019. So will this sequel help the series maintain the crown? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it for my Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie review. And if this is the first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me that thumbs up and consider subscribing. So like most kids that grew up in the 90s, I had a Sega Genesis. I played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, however many Sonic games were out there. It was my favorite thing to do, especially when we went to grandma's house during the Christmas time and all of our cousins came through. I mean, we would have Sonic parties from sun up to sundown. So of course, when studios wanted to adapt this franchise, I was all on top of it with excitement. Saw the first film and I absolutely loved it. And as soon as the trailers dropped for the second film, I was even more excited. Like, what? They're going to deliver Tails and we're going to have Knuckles too, with Idris Elba voicing the actor or the character, excuse me. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. So my expectations were high for this movie. But before I get into all my likes and dislikes, all the nitty gritty, let me tell you exactly what it's all about. When the manic Dr. Robotnik returns to Earth with a new ally, Knuckles the Echidna, Sonic, and his new friend Tails is all that stands in their way. Now guys, this film is being directed by Mr. Jeff Fowler. If you don't know who he is, this is what he looks like right here. He has a very short filmography. If you just scroll down, look, oh my gosh, he only has 4 credits. Go for Broke, a short that I've never heard of before, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, which we're talking about, and The Pink Panther, which has not come out yet. Now, another great thing about this movie is the cast. We have Ben Schwartz voicing Sonic, like I said, Idris Elba voicing Knuckles. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, I'm so sorry, ma'am, she is voicing Tails. Never heard of her before. The legendary Jim Carrey, James Marsden, and Tika Sumpter. My goodness gracious, you know I gotta shout out this lovely black chocolate goddess. We got Natasha Rothwell, she's playing Rachel. That is Maddie's sister. She was in the Insecure series. And Shamar Moore playing Randall. I am a fan of all of these people, and just another reason why I was excited about this movie. And like I said, guys, I enjoyed the first film, and I may have enjoyed this second film even better. This movie was incredible. Yes, this series does maintain the crown of being one of the best video game adaptations out there. There is not really anything to complain about this movie, in my opinion, unless you're nitpicking, but nitpicking is not a bad thing because all things are subjective. But let's just talk about the good. Jim Carrey as Robotnik. I mean, people have said this before. People have probably said this about other roles, but my goodness gracious, this man was born for this role. He is not Dr. Robotnik. He is being himself. I'm convinced that the Sonic developers in the 90s, when they came out with this video game and they was coming up with the character Robotnik, they didn't just make it up out the clear blue. They saw Jim Carrey and was like, hey, let's put him in the game. And then 20, 30 years later in the future, we can bring him back for the live action adaptation because he just did that great in this movie. I mean, he is Robotnik through in and throughout, and he is just perfectly cast in this movie. The perfect villain, the perfect antagonist, the perfect everything. I mean, I love everything about him in this film. And what I love about this film is it is set in the real world. So if it's a walking, talking hedgehog and a fox that flies around with his tail and a red looking ninja echidna with super power punch powers, if somebody sees that, they're not going to be like, oh, hey, Sonic, what's going on? Hey, Tails, you know, like this is just another creature species that lives on Earth. No, this is in the real world. And so if somebody sees Sonic, they're like, what the hell is that? Why is there a blue fairy monster guy that can run 2,000 miles at one point in time? That's what I like about this film already, and it just makes it that much better. And that also just ties into the world building as well. Yes, this takes place on Earth, but there's other parts where it takes place in outer space and all these other planets. And there are a number of aspects and territories that are put in the film on Earth that are plucked right out the game that just makes it that much more authentic and at the edge of your seat if you were a big fan of the video game series back in the 90s. All of the visual effects are on point. No, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles don't look photorealistic, but they don't need to, in my opinion. I was still able to have a good time knowing that this is a CGI cartoon, and it worked for me quite well. I think the best addition to this was Knuckles, played by Idris Elba. There's just something about his voice that everybody loves. It's very deep, it's very raspy, and it has authority, and I thought that matched perfectly with the image that we got of Knuckles on screen. The voice acting matched the physical presence of the character, and I thought that was the perfect marriage between the two to bring the character to life on screen. And y'all, if you just want to laugh, if you just like a bunch of silly, goofy corniness, this movie is filled with it. I was laughing pretty much from beginning to end in this movie with all the jokes, with all the banter, and there's levels of it too. Between the characters Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but also between the human characters that have nothing to do with these aliens, it was all funny. Some of it was a bit over the top and stressed out a little longer than I really wanted to, but I'll get over to that part when we talk about the things that I really didn't care for in this film. And if I didn't mention it before, guys, this is exactly like the game. The territories, the location, the way the characters move, the way they run, punch, fly. They even had this temple that was locked off the coast of Hawaii. We're just going to call it the Temple of Doom. Seeing all the characters from the game run around this place trying to evade and escape all of these traps, I was like, damn, this is like the perfect video game adaptation. I remember doing this exact thing in the game, and it did not happen just once. It happened all throughout the movie. So I love that consistency right there. It just makes the experience that much better. Even when the characters are running, I mean, there's a blue trail behind Sonic, a yellow trail behind Tails, a red trail behind Knuckles. And I love the camera work and the way it was maneuvering around. It wasn't shaky, it was moving, but it was still stationary and able to capture these shots of all these little alien creatures running around, jumping, throwing punches, flying, Sonic running around fast and fast and fast. It was very, very nice. And it was just like natural to them, you know, like they're running and flying and all of this as fast as they possibly can, also able to communicate and converse amongst each other, and it just made it that much more entertaining. I'm just thinking like Idris Elba's line, like, oh my God, we just hit him with our most powerful attack and it didn't do anything. Like, what are we gonna do? Well, we haven't tried this, so let's try it. 1, 2, 3, go. And when they're talking like this, they're like running and flying as fast as they possibly can, dodging trucks, and I'm just like, hell yeah, this is nice. So if it wasn't obvious already, guys, I was loving this film. I think it was absolutely fantastic, but let me just go and get into some of the things that I really didn't care for. The film comes in at about 2 hours and 2 minutes, and to be honest, it did not need to be that long. They could have easily shoved off a good 20 to 25 minutes, and I think what suffered there is there's 2 scenes in particular, that actually 3, that could have been cut out tremendously. One was between the human characters Tom and Maddie, Tika Sumner and James Marsden. I really didn't care for their relationship and everything that they was going through. I wanted to see it, but I just didn't want to see it as much. There's another scene where it shows Sonic and Tails at a bar tavern, and there's like a dance number. That was unnecessary as well. That did not need to be there. And there's also another side story that has to do with Rachel, Natasha Rothwell. Rachel is Maddie's sister. Her getting married at a wedding in Hawaii. That was funny. I did laugh, and it was executed great, but it was still unnecessary for the story. They could have used that screen time to show more of Knuckles, to show more of Tails, to show more of Dr. Robotnik. We got enough of Sonic, so it wasn't lacking there. But while I did enjoy it and I was smiling, and like I said, it was executed great with nice precision, it was still unnecessary, and it took away from the 2 characters that they introduced in this film. And that's just another gripe or nitpick of mine. Of course, in the first film, we got all of Sonic, but in this film right here, they're not introducing just one new character, they're introducing two new characters, which is Tails and Knuckles. And I thought that it was kind of shortchanged just a little bit. In my opinion, now I won't spoil anything for you here, but there is a post-credit scene in this. There will be another sequel to this, possibly introducing another character. In my opinion, they're saving that for the third film, but they should have saved it for the fourth. Sonic should have took the front seat in the first film, and then Tails in the second film, and then bring Knuckles in the third film, and then this extra character that I want to spoil for the fourth. It makes sense to me. That's another way that you can gain more money. And I wouldn't say that if Tails and Knuckles would have got more development in this film. But like I said, they were shortchanged, they were shafted because there was just too much screen time on the human characters when it could have been built up for Tails and Knuckles. And that's just another gripe is Tails, and to me, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on my video game enthusiast, Tails to me, of course, could fly in the video game, but he was always faster than Sonic, in my opinion. And they didn't really showcase that in this movie. I was just like, okay, are they going to have a foot race, or are they going to establish that Tails is faster than Sonic? I mean, Sonic is fast, but Tails is faster. But it was a missed opportunity to me, and that was just kind of a bummer. But let me go back to the good. Another thing that I like is the exposition in this film. You did not need to see the first film to get a full understanding of what's going on in this movie. Now, of course, if you did see it, you would understand and appreciate everything much better. But Tails did do a great job of like kind of filling in the blanks, answering questions, you know, being that middleman between the characters on screen and the audience to know what's going on and why. And they did a good job there. Sometimes people complain like, hey, show, don't tell. But the telling aspect of this, I thought worked very, very well for the storytelling. And so I got to give them credit where credit is due there too. And last but not least, just some of the scenes, I praised the film about its corniness and silly and goofiness and all that. And just a few little sprinkles here and there, it was just a bit too much, you know, and I'm a corny, silly, goofy guy. I think corniness is badass, but it was just, they could have just toned it down just a little bit in just a scene or two, or maybe a line of dialogue or two. It was just a bit overacting in my opinion. But other than that, guys, this film was flawless and I absolutely loved it. This is something that I would not mind seeing again. I don't necessarily know if I would pay to go see it at the theaters, but by myself. But if I had a friend that hasn't seen it and was like, hey, B, do you want to go see that new Sonic movie with me? I would say, hell yes, let's go. And I will also buy this movie on Blu-ray or 4K when it comes out because I know I will have a blast watching this at home. And I'll give my rating for this at the very end of this video, guys, but that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And why would you want to subscribe to my channel? Well, let me tell you, you're going to get movie reviews. We got Morbius, Alice, Master, The Batman, and Death on the Nile. By the time you see this video, there will be other reviews up as well. We also have spoiler movie reviews, a weekly movie news roundup show. I also do TV recaps for my favorite shows like Snowfall, Atlanta Season 3, Moon Knight, Bel Air, Halo, and Power Book 4 Force. Trailer reactions, and if I'm lucky, I will interview a Hollywood star. And also, if you head to my video tab, you can see all of the Just My Opinion separate topic episodes. These are what I talk about in my weekly movie news roundup show. So guys, you have plenty of reasons to subscribe to my channel. Even talked about the Will Smith slap incident and all that good stuff. Monique and Lee Daniels made up. Yeah, guys, help me reach my next milestone of 40,000 subscribers. It would really help me out a lot. But guys, if I had to rate Sonic the Hedgehog 2 out of a 1 out of 10, I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, an 8.5 out of 10. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.